It started with some random island I spawned at for a video, but much like the great Michelangelo, I could see the potential already there. I just had to help find it. Even though I could see the final project, I still grew excited for every little bit I got done. Thankfully so, of course, because it took weeks to get this far. Most of the city build is completed now. I'm mostly focused on creating the adventure portion at this point, which of course has builds and challenges of its own. But I figured you wanted to have a look. Your private tour begins now. The spawn area is actually going to be the shipping docks down here. You'll see that we have a bunch of market tents that I have put up. These are all different villager jobs. All of these villagers also have other villagers in the village or castle that have the same jobs as well. All the dock workers are replicas, but I wanted additional villagers with more trade options down here, kind of like a market. And then I also tried to Minecraftize, if that's a word, two different styles of ships. So first, this one was based on kind of the Norse Viking ships, and then this one was more based on the, what was that, 14th century, 13th century, like sailing ships. Smaller, not like a trans-ocean one, but I definitely wanted to have a couple masts with sails on it. And as you can see, there is a crane that moves back and forth here that's operated by this villager down here. That was done with just a couple command blocks, which I actually have hidden, I think, in the sand. Yeah, that looks like the right spot. Yeah, so down here, I have a couple command blocks in a redstone repeating loop. And what this is doing is each time one of these loads, it's filling the area with air, getting rid of the old builds, and then it's running a structure load. I had two cranes that were built and saved, and I'm loading them in. Now the locations are slightly different because the structure blocks use an offset. But once you get it dialed in, you have to adjust it a couple times. You can get it to rotate on this single position, just like this, making it look like it's turning. Now, that is the same mechanics that I use for the moving windmill, but we will get to that in a little bit. Right off the dock here, we have our first trade villager. This is the cartographer. This one here is actually just some bed storage. I imagine that's for the marketing villagers. Moving on up over here, we get to the Fletcher. And I put a archery range right across the way because I figured if he's designing arrows, he probably has a place to test them, which is something that you don't see in regular Minecraft. But this is the Fletcher's house. Here we have the well. I wanted a kind of simple well, but with a different design than you typically see in the other villages. But I think it looks really good and it matches kind of the aesthetic of the village. I tried to stick with dark oak, and you see that we're using deep slate on most of these. Heading over here, this is the librarian's house, which is actually the school for the village. He sleeps in the little room in the back there. And then this lovely church is where the cleric is. Pop this open. Yep, this is where the cleric does all his or her potion brewing. Not too sure if the villagers have genders or not. And then up here is the windmill. Now, just like with the dock, I'm just using a loop of redstone and some command blocks to erase the blocks that were there and replace it with another structure block. This time, though, I have 3 different structures that were saved. You'll see I have where it's a straight plus sign, and then you can actually follow the blades around with your eyes. And that redstone is just right up here in the top. This one is even smaller than the other one you see here. Literally, these are just different structures being loaded. I don't even have the fill commands on this one. I'm literally just loading structures over the top of each other. Now continuing on here, we arrive at the leather worker's house. This one I really enjoy the inside aesthetic of. I really like what I did with this one. Oops, sorry, didn't mean to leave your door open, man. He got mad at me. And then we keep going on up here, and we kind of hit a fork here. This is the butcher's house. Come inside here, you got the smoker, the door out back that leads to the meat that he's going to make for the village. And then we have the farmer over here. Just a simple little hut, nothing crazy, but he manages 4 different farm fields. Now if we come over this way, what's going on? This is the shepherd. Here's the loom. And then the sheep are back here. And then this is the fisherman's aisle. This has 2 houses, but 3 fishermen. They have more boats over here for going out and fishing and stuff, but these 2 are brothers that live together, and then this one's just their friend, but they catch the fish. So you see here that I've got a bunch of food sources. I try to keep these builds as realistic as possible, because you're going to need a lot of food to sustain that. So heading into the castle here, we have the bridge. I tried to design this tactically, and I did take inspiration from real medieval castles. Sorry, can't talk. And also maybe fantasy TV shows. So this bridge is very narrow. It's got walls on both sides, and you have protective areas, defensive areas here for archers as well as on the roof. And you'll see that I actually have something right here that's really cool. So this is a working ballista. You pull the lever down to fire it. It fires an arrow out. And then you have to crank it back up to load it again. And then I have this, I have the dispenser here jammed full of arrows. But it fires all over into this region right here, which I think is amazing. And then the lower defensive area here would be for those that are on the bridge. But the coolest part about this is the drawbridge. You'll see in here that I actually have a chain system for the drawbridge. It's not actually a chain system, it's commands beneath the floor. But again, I have 2 structures saved. One where the bridge is closed, and one where the bridge is open. And when this is up, it's legitimately closed. Whee! Do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do. Check that out. Super cool. Alright, so immediately inside the gatehouse, you see that we have a storage of supplies. And we also have some horses that are down here. They pull this wagon. This wagon unloads from the shipping docks, supplies in town and stuff, brings them up here to the castle. It's just some concrete blocks with some frames on it and stuff. I thought it was a pretty convincing little wagon. If we were to go upstairs here, you're going to find the first barracks, which is the gatehouse defense. Got some, this is their fellowship hall, their eating hall down here. And then this is where they sleep. Got some here. But this is like the main archer defense for the gateway here. Pretty good view. I do have the crenellated battlements here for them to seek cover behind. And then we do have access to the roof from this room. That's where the ballista is. Now, if we were to drop back down to the first floor, to access the main castle, you then have to descend these stairs. I call this the maw. The reason why is it kind of looks like you're walking up into a mouth here. But you have a long way to walk. And I have variations in the stairs, which is really common to do with castle stairs. You'll see that you have pretty easy steps, and it goes flat, then you have easy steps again, and then it actually picks up to really steep steps at the end. Castles would be built this way to trip up enemy forces if they were trying to invade the castle quickly. You're wearing armor, you can't see well, you got a big shield, and you're trying to run up all these steps. So they would make the steps in different sizes to make them trip and fall. I have a first defense battlement up here for more archers defending the maw. And then we have another battlement right here for that entrance as well. Now this is the upper city, the castle here. The donjon's over there, we'll get to that. That's the main keep. Over here we have a front watchtower and some pretty cool statues. If you were to go up the tower, we have some quarters here for more guards. The watchtower here is manned at all times, and that overlooks basically the entire village. Great view of the village. Now, next to that tower over here, there is another battlement, and there is a new bridge that is actually technically still under construction. Some of the areas I have are not fully built yet. The castle is always being expanded on. And there's going to be a tower over here eventually. But you'll see that I'm already starting to work on the build structure over here. But up top here, there's going to be a tower. Back inside the castle here, we have another small well, and then we have some villagers. Come inside here. This is where, if I'm not mistaken, it's the armorer and the toolsmith. This is where they live and work. And then across the way over there, I believe, is the weaponsmith. This leads down to the Royal Crypt. It's a place beneath the city where all the former kings and queens are buried. And there's a lot of Easter eggs with some of the names down here. I'm not going to go through them all. But this is where all the royal leaders are buried. Going over here, we have another battlement here next to the donjon, the main keep. This is the jail. I really don't know what this villager did, but they're so guilty. Just so guilty. I put a tree here. I'm not going to lie to you. I was really inspired by The Lord of the Rings to do this. But I didn't want a white tree. I just went with the same type of wood that the actual village is made out of. I figured it would be really cool to represent that wood as kind of like a life source for them. And then heading down in here, we're going to go into the keep. Right away, this is the throne room. This is where the king and queen take court. That's where people come up and be like, oh no, we need another field of crops. We're not going to have enough food. And they're like, that's a great idea. Plant it here. Or they're like, my barn burned down. I need help building it. And they're like, okay, this guy's going to help you out with that. So that's that. And then let's go this way first. This is to the royal area. First, we have the kitchen here where all the food is cooked, prepared, all that jazz. This is the dining for the king and queen and any visitors or children that they might have. I'm not sure yet. And then heading down to here, we have the private quarters. You'll see here I have a really nice strategic map overview of the castle and the village out front. This is for defensive plans of the castle. And then this is the bedroom. Now, I'm not done yet with this escape hallway. I'm thinking I was going to add a piston door that makes this like an invisible door so you don't notice there's a door here. But this is for them to escape out if the castle were to be invaded and it to be a point where they need to run. And I actually have a pathway that goes all the way down here. You jump down into the water, you swim under, and there's some caves that'll take you all the way through what's called the Undercity, which is going to be part of the story eventually. But there's another entrance to the Undercity down here. This way, eventually you can go to those stairs I was telling you that lead you to that door. But there's so much more down here, and I really tried to represent what I felt like underneath one of these massive cities might look like with all the crooks and nannies in the mountain. But that part's still being worked on, the adventure. Heading back up here to the main keep. Whee! If we were to go to the other side, we're going to run into more guard area. This is the eating area, and then we have all their beds here. And then we're going up to the next level. This is the top for the first outer layer of defense here of the donjon. And then we do have a tower here. Now this tower has several different floors. We have multiple people that stay on each floor. I think it's 2 on every floor. First floor here. Once we come up, we're starting to utilize a window system on the tower so that you have even more areas of defense. Now, one of the cool things about this tree here is it really offers a unique defensive advantage to any kind of army coming straight forward, because this tower placement makes it really difficult for them to do anything to the archers up here. I thought that was really cool when I was building it, but we're going to move on up again. And then, again, more beds, second window, come up here, more beds. And then we are up here on the top. Now, this technically is the tallest tower. If I were to come down here to the level there and then fly forward, you'll see that I am a few blocks above the forward tower. Hello, tower. There are even more extras that you might be able to spot throughout this video, but I think that's all I'm going to show for now. I do have this map available for download. I do not have the adventure done. Right now, it's mostly just the beginning map of the city build, and I'm currently working on the adventure. Once I get enough of that done, where it works, at least a majority, I will get that posted for people to test out as well, and I'll have the link for that in the description down below. The file right now works on both mobile, which is Pocket Edition, as well as on PC or I think Mac. I'm trying to get this into the market for console as well, but I do need to kind of, I think there was like a couple different items built up, create a portfolio to submit, and I also now need to create an LLC. So I'm in the process of starting that, but eventually this will be available on all Bedrock. This is Bronco67. I'll catch you next time.